Hello everyone, my name is Mimi Green. I am the epitome of the overcomer. I am here today on the Ideal Woman Show just to help someone overcome something. Hopefully my story impacts you in a wonderful way.
Jesus, let me know where they show no fish. Yeah, say you found it, but she's still gonna hold on. They didn't say you found it, but she doesn't want.
Hey sis, and welcome to the Ideal Woman Show, where we talk about self-growth, real-life journeys, and everything in between. I'm your host, Coach Bree, and around here, we don't chase perfection. Nah, we embrace the journey of becoming our best selves. So again, this is the Ideal Woman Show, where we talk about real talks for real growth. Whether you're leveling up right now in life, or trying to figure things out, or just simply here for some good old conversation, you have come to the right place. So, buckle up, sis, because it's about to get real. And again, welcome to the sisterhood. Alright, I am very excited to dive into today's episode, into today's topic, with today's guest speaker. Y'all, when she reached out to me about wanting to be on season 2 to share parts of her story, y'all, I kid you not, I was shocked and excited all at the same time. Like, I was like, what? Really? So I'm very excited today, y'all, and she wears a lot of hats. She wears a lot of hats. But just to give you a few, so you can kind of see who we're working with today, she is a business owner, the business owner of Events by Mimi, which is a full-service event planning business, okay? So, y'all gonna find out real soon, sometime throughout this video, of what she's about, what she does, and how you can connect to her. She's also a mother and a wonderful, wonderful minister. So, without further ado, y'all, please, let's welcome Mimi to the Ideal Woman Show. Welcome.
I'm a grandmother too.
A grandmother. That's just another hat, another role. Yes. How are you feeling today?
I am great.
You are.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm excited.
I know.
Okay. So now, just by judging off of today's, if you read the title before you clicked on this video, you already know it's about to get real. Okay? It's about to get real. This is a subject where I know quite a few women who have been either a mother, stepmother, godmother, ministers, business owners who have went to prison and have went in the midst of wearing all those hats. And so I was very, 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 very happy and honored when Mimi reached out about wanting to be on the show to share her parts of her story, because I know it's going to help a lot of women out here that are probably going through that right now, or have a family member that's going through it, and this is about to bless y'all tremendously. So, Miss Mimi, I wanted to start us off on the beginning parts of the life before incarceration. And so, if you can tell me just a little bit of what life was like before you were incarcerated.
Life was hard. Life was abandonment. I had abandonment. My father was murdered before I was born. So I didn't grow up with dad. I grew up with my mom's husband, and I grew up through trauma. I grew up with no self-esteem. I grew up with not loving myself, even though I was raised in the church. I didn't know, I had no identity, didn't know who I was and what I was going to become. So it was very hard. So it was easy for me to make bad decisions because I was fighting to fit in.
And you were trying to, so this sounds like a time in your life where you were trying to fit in anywhere where you felt love, or you just felt an itch of acceptance.
Yeah.
And that was like before incarceration.
Like before.
So this was while you were already a mother before
incarceration. Yes.
Okay.
I had my daughter Landria at 19. I was pregnant with her at 18. And then Jason came 2 years later. So, yes, I abandoned my own children by my poor decisions.
Man. So, you were still figuring things out.
Married and figuring it out.
Married and figuring. That's, you already started in the conversation deep, and I'm trying not to get too deep. Oh my God, that's a mouthful right there. So, take us back to that moment when you finally acknowledged, or it finally clicked in your head that, hey, I am about to be a parent behind bars, or I'm about to be anything behind bars, and where you, at that time of your life that you had to really realize that, okay, I'm here, and I have no choice but to accept it. What was going through your mind at that time?
So because I'm the strong one between the dynamic of me and their father, who's going to take care of my children? Because their dad is a great provider. He worked so hard to make sure that myself and my children didn't want for anything. Without him, I wouldn't have been able to finish life, because who would have thought that I would have committed a crime so bad that it cost me to have to go do jail time. So while I got the sentence of probation, because when you're a first-time criminal, you just want to get out of the jail. Yeah, I wasn't moving like that. You know, I was like, okay, I'm staying here so this time can go to whatever time I'm gonna have to get. I know I did it. It was never a question of, did I do the crime? No, I did it. I did it. Accountability is owning up to it. The first sentence that they gave me was pretty high. It was 25 years. I was like, oh, no, Lord, okay, Lord, you know, I gave my life back to Christ, serving in the ministry as an armor bearer. I'm like, okay, Lord, where's grace? Because I don't see her in this sentence that they're throwing at me. And so, I rejected, told my attorney, I'm going to sit here until something else, because I'm not doing 25 years. I'm not. And so he fought for me, really good attorney, really great attorney. He fought for me. It was my first offense, hadn't been in trouble. Of course, childhood fighting, going back and forth, of course, fighting, but never been in trouble as an adult. And so he fought for me to get probation. So I was home on probation for 3 weeks. It was easier to be home. I got the first case in 2008, but I caught another one in 2009 with a so-called friend.
So when you say so-called, I kind of already know what you mean. Okay, so just enough to do some dirty stuff with and maybe cater to them in certain areas, then they just kind of know where to be found type of friend?
It's one of those situations where my friend would have told me, girl, don't do this. I did something for her father, and it cost me my freedom. I didn't know her father like that. I knew her mom, but I didn't know her father like that. And I'm thinking I'm just helpful, you know, trying to fit in. Just trying to be that friend. And no. And my expectation of a friend, which my best friends did that, but as a friend I'm thinking, okay, you know, I made a mistake. 2 different cases, so they're not the same cases. So it hurted my first case because I caught another felony. So now I'm 2 felonies in, even though the second one only, because I'm on probation, is why I call it second.
Yeah.
You're guilty.
Anything you are point. Yeah.
You're guilty. They look at your record, and that's what I don't like about the system, is because they don't look at who you are today. They look at what your past say you were in everything that you do. It has always hindered me to a point to where I never applied my greatness because I was so afraid of the no's that I received. And I received them a lot. Employment, organizational stuff that I was trying to join. You can't hide felonies. But I'm like, well, your mission is, you know, restore hope. You're going to So I was judged by the mistakes I made, and those mistakes were actually for my good, because a lot of times we don't really do what God says.
Yeah, and all of us.
We run from what God say and the call over your life, but on the flip side of that, I didn't know my identity in Christ. All I know, I'm a servant. I love to serve. I love to help people. I love to pray. I love to pray. This is all I know. But in jail, I'm like, y'all, I'm doing the same time y'all doing. Why y'all asking me to pray? Y'all pray for yourself. But then the Lord had to convict me and said, I have you here to sit you down to listen to me. When I really, really realized that jail actually saved my life, it was the best thing for me. Because I had no mindset to come out and change. I was still dibbling dabbling. I had my circle of quick life money friends, and I had my circle who was at church with me, and I had my circle who would pull up with me. I had all of these circles, but in the midst of it all, I didn't have God. I was one foot in, one foot out. And so that 1 foot in took a prophet to come tell me and say, if you don't get that foot out of there, you're going to die. And I was like, when I said the prophet read everything we had planned, that's when I knew, let me go change my life. Let me really surrender to the yes, because if not, I'm not going to be able to come out, because I'm too far deep into it, and the money looks great. But then the benefit is losing my soul.
Okay, stop right there, because you just went in a whole circle, and you hit beginning, middle, and the end. Wow, okay. So let's go back to, because we started off with life before.
Yeah.
And, okay, okay, this is a lot right now. This is heavy. So let me ask you this. When it came down to ministry before incarceration, what is ministry? Because you were ministering before you were incarcerated as well, so you weren't just a mother trying to figure life out.
I was praise dancing. I was praise dancing. I was on the intercessory team. I was serving a pastor.
You were deep in that thing.
Yeah, I was traveling, ministering. I'm not a preacher per se, but I will evangelize to anybody. I was doing all of that. But I had one foot in and one foot out. I did.
So because you said you had your groups of friends, so you knew who to go to for certain scenarios in your life. So when you found out that you were being incarcerated, how was your connection with your church family, in the support system in that?
It was actually hard to leave because they were my safe space. It was hard because I didn't get a chance to apologize. I felt like I left my post. I left my church. I felt like I failed at trying to change. Because the only reason why I had to go to incarceration is because on probation you have to maintain a job. Well, I had some incidents that made me not have my job because I got hurt. And so the system don't care that you got hurt. Here's your stipulation. You still have to keep the job. Well, I'm on doctor's orders and still get locked up. Okay, cool. I feel like the support that I got, they were there for my family, my children. My church family held it down. They would speak with my ex-husband at the time. Now, they would speak with my ex-husband. They would keep the kids in church. They made it to where they didn't miss a routine. But then they're noticing, Mommy's not here. Mommy's not here. And so at the time, my husband and I agreed to tell the kids that I was in Dallas working when I wasn't. And so my kids do know that I was incarcerated, older that they got. I let them know, like, because now I'm teaching right from wrong, so that they don't make that mistake. Like I tell them, I did enough time for you. Let's not go down that route. And so they know now, but would I change not telling them then? Yes.
And I'm glad you kind of ended it off with that, because I was going to ask next, like, how did you even, if you did, but I know you said you didn't tell them until they were older, but why do you say that you regret, or not even regret, but why do you say would you change telling them then versus waiting?
Because they still could have came and seen.
You would have been okay with that?
I would have. Now that I'm older, I would have. Reason why is because that abandonment caused so much trauma in my children's life. They did not accept me when I come home. They were older, older than when I left. So it was hard trying to rebuild that. It hurted so much you ain't been here, my daughter got smart mouth. And some of the things that she didn't know, she was really triggering me. Some of the things that she would lash out and say hurt it. Because it's like, Ma, you ain't been here. Where in her mind, where you been, even though they were told a lie. And so I don't want to ever have to go back to prison, but I don't ever want to lie to them either. Because it was an easy way to say, hey, Mom had did a bad thing. But because of stereotypes and all of that, that's what we were trying to shelter them from. But it wasn't sheltered, it actually hurted them.
And I'm glad that you said that, because there's a lot of parents today that could be watching right now, and it could be simple things in life, like financial issues, or I don't know, just lost your job or anything. Mom and daddy's going through something right now. I think a lot of times us parents are so traditional with that, and we feel like kids don't need to be knowing all this stuff. We need to keep this away from them, but then you're actually causing separation in the house.
Absolutely.
Because you're not being honest, and it's not saying that you have to tell your kids everything that's going on, but enough as to where they understand what's happening and they can learn, okay, well, this is how I see my mommy getting through this, and she just told us that we're going through financial issues right now. So I think that's a good thing that you stated that. So when it came to being in prison, I remember you mentioning that you said you did a little bit of ministry while you were in prison.
Yeah.
So what kind of ministry were you doing, and how did you get to that mindset of, okay, well, while I'm in here, I might as well serve?
So I had no choice. In prison, they give you the opportunity to go to church. Yes. Okay. So I went to church. Why is my church family here?
Your church, like church outside, was there.
Yeah.
Was this like planned, or like?
No, I didn't normally go because I didn't. You're raised to only listen to your pastor. So Pastor Daly, I only want to hear my pastor.
Yeah.
But something with Birdie was like, just go. I had nothing to do sitting in the cell, wasn't doing anything. Mental was okay, because I'm okay. So I go, and the greatest thing about you in life is you never know who you're going to meet later. So don't mess up bridges that you're going to meet later. And this particular church, it wasn't my, home church, but it was a church I praised in. And I knew everybody there. And so when they seen me, they mouth dropped. And I was like, yeah, hey, and so everybody that's in my cell seen that I had a relationship with God. That I really wasn't just waking up praying, because I would pray loud and say, well, who's going to stop me? Who's going to pop me? Type attitude. Nothing to stop me from serving my God. And so when they seen that I was for real, got back to the cell the same day. Can you start Bible study? Sure. It was so easy for me to say sure, because I'm seeing that just because I'm in here, there are still souls that needs to be saved. why not do what God wants me to do in the most awkward position that I'm in? There are still souls. And to be honest, incarcerated people have the best worship because that's all we got. The worship is it's just so much peace in worship because we need Him more than anything because we're not in the world. So yeah, y'all might be still paying bills and y'all might be going day to day. Y'all have freedom, but we also have freedom too. But it's freedom to change. So it's totally different. So when I realized, I was like, okay, the Lord said He'll send people to places that no man want to go. Okay, I'm in this cell. What do you want me to do, Lord? Because everybody won't go to the strip club. Everybody won't go to the halfway house. Everybody won't go to the sidewalk and minister to the homeless person. But somebody got to do it. Because they are still God's soul. So I started that. The chaplain came in. Me and her are still friends to this day. She raised me from really high to me. I said, okay, God, you're letting me know that you're still in control. Because you're sending people who I know pray for me. Who I know knows my family, just know everything. So she was like, I need you to do Bible study. I was like, okay, cool. Where do I start? She said, whatever Lord lay on your heart. Because mind you, she knew me in the world, so she knows I'm raised up in the church. She knows the word is in me. So I started doing Bible study. Then it got to, can we pray out loud? Can we just do a circle? And it was just started off real small, 6 of us, maybe 4 of us, and then each morning before court. Now, mind you, this was before I went to prison. So I'm still in Harris County. I'm still in Harris County seeing God work and sending these people home. But I got to go to prison. So the enemy came in and started messing with me. Like, you praying for these people go home, but you still sitting here. And I was like, you're right, enemy. But for God I live, for God I die. I'm still going to keep doing it. You're not going to defeat my mind right there. So people, I would pray before they go to court, and they would come back, big hugs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, no, that's all God. That's not me. He was like, no. Thank you. Then they started putting money on my books.
So as you were pouring, they
came back and poured back.
Wow.
And I was like, wait, I didn't ask. And then they would write letters to me. Thank you for praying for me. I was like, man, God, this is weird. Like, I didn't even get this in the freedom. And I was like, okay, I'm going to keep going. I kept going. I told my pastor, I was like, Pastor, look, she was like, keep going, baby girl. God is going to answer your prayer while you're being obedient. And so kept going. My turn to go to court. Now I'm like, all right, been in here a couple months. My turn. We still had prayer every day. We didn't miss morning and night before we went to bed, before we got up. We still doing it. Went to court. Here going. Defeated. I was defeated. I was like, now God. What? Like, why? Why? And I never could get the why. But in turn, I went to prison and did the same thing on a bigger scale. Because there's more ladies in this cell. It's double beds, and this is 50, 60 of us in, one room. And I did everything I did in Harris County, I did in CDC. I didn't have to work because, they make you do a job in jail as if you're in freedom. But I didn't have to work because only certain people, like if you didn't have a degree or you didn't have a high school diploma, you had to go to classes and stuff like that. I had all of that. I didn't do anything. So the only time I went out is when we went to rec and to play, get fresh air or get medicine or something like that. But other than that, I stayed in there, and that's when I began to journal. That's when I learned to journal my thoughts.
Okay.
Each day I would write an entry, and I would apologize to me.
Every day in your journal?
I had to.
That's interesting, because I was going to go on to my next question because I wanted to kind of dive into your mindset, the battles that you had to go through while being incarcerated, and in there, like, was your faith always strong? Was your emotions, like, let's dive a little bit into that of how you were, and what all you were battling with while you were there.
I was missing my children. Missing my children. The best thing is that I was able to say it's me versus me. And I went to jail with unforgiveness in my heart towards my mother. That was the biggest struggle for me, because why you didn't raise me right? Why you didn't pour into me? Why you let my daddy get killed? It was so many whys. Like, why did I have to go through rape? Why? So many whys. And so I wrote my mom a letter apologizing to her, because I felt I needed to apologize to my mom because I hated her so much, to where I acted so hard because she was not there. Like, I needed her to be. My mom did not want another girl her whole pregnancy. She was told I was a boy. So when she had me, she didn't want me. So I'm abandoned at birth. And so I had to find a way to cope with telling my mom that it hurted so much for her not to love me, but let her know that I'm in a place of healing. And this transition was a release for me, because you can't serve with a bitter heart. And I never would have been able to be free until I explained to my mother that I've made mistakes, but don't cast me out. I needed your love. I love you. We might not see eye to eye, and it's cool, but I love my mama. I might not be able to get along with her, but we have boundaries. And that's where I had to go, because now I have to find the strength to work with my own daughter. So I had to break that curse. That's a big curse. To not get along with your mother, it's a revelation. Mother's the big curse. But I didn't want my child to grow up like that, because I had to recover my relationship with my children because of my poor decision. And so in order for me to walk right, live right, feel right, doing the recovery, I had to get that off my heart. And it was 2.5 pages I wrote to my mom. There's things that I needed to say that you can't verbally say to my mom, because, she wasn't in a place to receive. So my therapist, everybody should get therapy. Everybody should get therapy.
Yes, I got one. You should get one.
Yes, still in therapy, because therapy is great. You need release at that time. And so my therapist at the time let me know that my voice can be heard. I grew up where you didn't have a voice. That's a slavery mentality that I do not like when parents say, well, go run in my house, stay in your house. You're teaching your child not to have a voice. Don't do that. And so when I realized that my voice was powerful, it started with forgiveness. So in there, I'm battling, and then I became like, I'm not worried about nothing. My kids are good. I can write every day. So, of course, we had J-Day. I get letters every day. I was sending them things. So there's some incredible talent in jail. Some incredible women in jail. They just don't know how to live. And so there's some incredible souls in there that just made mistakes. And so I would get things made for my kids and mail them home and stuff like that. And I was like, God, this is what unity look like when you gotta be together every day, all day, for however long time you have. this is what unity looks like. In CDC, you don't go for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. No. You go in this unit. It's 2 years and up. So these ladies are together every day, and it's just talent, and it's singing, and it's voices. It's amazing. Yes, of course, it's a group of women. You got your fights, and you got your dislikes, and your cliques, and all of that. But the greatest thing about where I was at, we didn't have none of that the whole time I was there.
It was just peace.
It was slowly. Everybody, we play dominoes, we play cards, we watch TV, we go to church, we go out and work. It was more of everybody wanted to find their identity. That's what made it easier for me to minister.
Because you're already open.
I don't know. Why am I here late? Some of them didn't even know God. So to be able to witness to them Romans 8 and 28 is a difference when they're really ready to receive. And then you start seeing that their headstrongness come down, because sometimes you feel like you have to put on this front for people to make yourself feel in, but baby, we all incarcerated. We all locked up. We all did some crimes, and whether you're guilty or not, we here together, right? So and so you start seeing the walls break down. Yeah. And the visitations. Now I didn't get visitations. I opted out people coming to see me.
The entire time you were in there. And you were in there for how long?
A long time. I want to visit.
You never changed your mind?
Never.
Never second thought that? Why?
Or
you didn't want nothing.
To see people come back in prison after visitation and their back broken. I don't want it. I don't want to face it. Because y'all get to go this way.
And you have to go back.
Yeah. Let me do my time.
So that was for your mental.
Yep. Let me do my time.
Okay.
Don't come up here. I didn't even fill out a visitation log. Because you have to put names on the log in order to get visitation.
Come in.
Yep. I didn't fill it out. On purpose.
Wow. That's understandable. I definitely understand that for sure. I grew up with a lady, and Lord, thank God that she's free now and doing amazing with her life. But I remember growing up and going to visit her, and it hurt me and my sister because we would visit her and we'd be like, man, well, but after this, it's like we go back out and you don't get to come to her house no more. And her house was the life of the party. We did every weekend, every other weekend, every other day. And so I definitely understand. I understand why now that you explained it, but when you first said, I was like, but did you ever have a point where you just yearned for that connection or to just at least put your eyes on them?
I didn't honestly think anybody would come and see me anyway.
Is that an assumption, or did you get clarity, or ever when you came out, did you ever ask them?
I didn't care. That was over. Because when I left prison, I had no parole, no probation. I was free. November 7, 2013, I walked out them doors, free.
So you don't care even still to this day. You don't want to know.
So that was for me. That was for me. And when you care, when you understand that it's a hard struggle to leave those. I'm watching ladies do it to themselves all the time, and then here I am. Can you pray for me? Of course. But you got to stop putting yourself in that open position to go back to that thing. I couldn't do it. I'm not going to do it. Best decision I ever did was to do that time with God. I did the grind. So I needed to heal. And I needed clarity. That's when I learned my strength. I learned my mission. That's why re-entry was so dear to my heart. So dear to my heart. Working in HR and as a recruiter, I have hired so many people from incarceration. The greatest thing about what I used to do is that I be able to talk to them from the place that they was to the place that they now. How I survive is because I changed my mentality. I changed my mindset. I let go of those extra circles I know I can get in. I let those people go because they didn't mean no good. I'm the smart one in the bunch. You know, and so I just let it go. I let it go. I said, God, food was nasty, girl. I came out real skinny because I was eating spreads. I was making my commissary because they had a real store in there, and you can actually go buy you food and stuff. And so I ate the same thing. I ate nachos the whole time. Like I ate my nachos. I didn't eat the jail food. I didn't eat that. That was the sin in itself.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So you had no limits. But I love the fact that you said that statement of because I was going to go back to that original question of while you were in there, and I had a question following up that. But I'm glad that you said that you had to make that mental decision from the get-go of okay, well, I need to start healing while I'm in here.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to open up doors that would prevent my healing. And so you purposely kept.
I did. Because I know if my children would have came up there, I would have broke out.
It would have broken you.
I would have broke out. No, I was going home with my kids.
Oh, you would have broke out. I thought you were talking about it was going to break her, like, you know, mentally, emotionally. You talking about out the door.
I would have went home with my kids. So I didn't want to, you know, how can a mother see your kids walking away? And you only get an hour visit.
Okay. So, and that was on weekends only?
Yes.
Okay. So that makes a lot of sense now. So while you were in there, I was going to ask about your kids because whether you have a support system or not, I know for a lot of people, speaking for myself as well, I have to make sure I can trust the support system that I have. So I know you said that was one of your biggest battles while being incarcerated, that you were missing your kids. Did you trust the support system that you had for your kids while you were away?
I trusted that their father would make the best decision. Okay. Because no matter what I set up, because I knew I was going in. I knew I was going to do time. I knew, so that the judge allowed me a certain amount of time to get my affairs in order. So no matter what it looks like, big shout out to my grandmother. That's my world. That lady there, she'll be 80 this year. She was my rock through that situation. My granny held it down. My granny watched my children while I go do my time. My granny was my rock, right? But starting over in her, at that time, I didn't know how old my grandma was at the time, but she had to start over. She would do daycare, get them to daycare, make sure your dad was involved. She was making sure she get a break. She was taking them to work with her. And my granny is my heart. That's my heart. That's my girl. And so I couldn't stress because of I'm married to their dad. I have to trust that he would step up. Only because he's never the one who do that much with the kids like that. He's the provider. So I wasn't hands-on. No, I wasn't working. I was self-employed. So I would do my catering. I would do weddings and things like that as they were growing up because we didn't do daycare. Okay. And so when we did do daycare, we did a home daycare. And so it was easier to say, because I phone call every day. And so I heard their voices while I was there. Okay. But seeing them, I didn't do that. So when I was called home, they come in Dallas because that's what their father told them. I was in Dallas on business. And so when I would get off that phone, it would hurt. It would hurt. But writing them letters, them getting their letters of them saying, "Mommy, I miss you, I love you." It was just a countdown now. I started counting down really hard. Okay, I created a calendar, scratch days off. I was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. And then each day, someone would come and trigger me mentally. Because I'm going home to my children. Some of them couldn't go home to their children. So I'm like, oh my God, how do I pray for this? Because what my countdown is getting home to my children. Some people would see that and they was like, at least you got to go home to your kids. At least, so the jealousy, the envy started coming up because I'm happy that I'm on a countdown. And so I sat down with one of them and I was like, why you can't go home to your children? And to hear the why broke me. This particular woman could not go home because she allowed her spouse to sexually assault her children. But she was under the influence and the manipulation of a man. And so to be able to talk to her was hard because, and I'm still a mama first. I'm ready to fight.
That's why I had to watch my facial expression just there because I was like, yeah, you did not just say that.
Yeah, and I'm ready to fight because I'm like, man, you got to protect me. She was like, but I don't know how, I don't know how. So the end result of that hurted so much. But to this day, she has her kids. She's doing amazing. She has her kids. She's in church. She's serving in church. We talk all the time, and she's like, if it wasn't for your conversation. So I might have sat there so many times and wondered why God would have me to talk, but people like her come back and say, it was your conversation. It was your prayer. It was, and I don't want to take credit for it because it was God. It wasn't me because I'm a vessel. But to see her there and to now, it was all God. All God.
That blessed my entire soul because to hear the other side of that, a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, just like how they're watching, as soon as you said the reason why she couldn't go home to her kids, the automatic judgments start coming in then.
Absolutely.
But you don't know the person. You don't know the story. You just you just see the big picture and where it's gotten her. And so to hear that, and then to hear that you played a role in ministering to her where it stuck with her. So when she got out, she was able to make this is going perfectly into my next question, but okay, I'm going to go into this question, then I'm going to go back to my other question, because I have one more, and then we're going to go to right now resolution. So with that, that's one story. But were you or have you witnessed any other women's life changing while you were in there? Because it was all women. All women. Yeah. So the women that you were able to minister to and speak with, were you able to see some of their actions change or their life in general change, their faith?
Absolutely. So what was this for their friend? It's a big day. We met in jail. And y'all are in jail. And she actually, and she knows who she is and she cheated. She actually signed for her prison time before me. I was telling her, don't do it, fight it. And she went to court and just signed for her time when she came in. And so I was like, wait, we're doing something here. We're supposed to go home together. And she's like, no. At the time, I believe she had 4 children. She had a set of twins and then 2 singles.
Yeah, but she had to sign. She had 4.
She had 4.
Jesus.
She had 4. And so she went off and did her time, but we exchanged family's information. So whomever got out first checked on each other's children.
Okay.
And so I got out before her. And so here I am. Of course, she let her mom know, and I love her family to this day. She just entered into the Mima Club. And so I would go to her, I would call her mom and say, hey, this is me and your daughter met when we were locked up. Do the kids need anything, anything? And she was like, of course it was no, because her family is a great, great, great family support system and everything. And so when I got to go around them, I was like, oh my God, they're amazing. But seeing her with her children, free and doing the best mother being the best mother she can be, doing the best that she can be after we've just been incarcerated. And we're getting told no on job.
Yeah. Right, well, yes, right after trying to get back older.
No, so we're trying to get on our feet, and she was doing amazing, and we still to this day, that's my girl.
So, let's dive a little bit more into, so at the end of that, were there any other women that you can say that you impacted or that you've seen their lives change from your ministry?
I would say from being incarcerated, I pretty much talked to all of those that we have connected and made some type of relationship from that. But now, in the employment sector, I have had the opportunity to employ a lot of people with different backgrounds and giving them a different way of life of thinking. So, I love being in the recruiting field and in the HR field because you get to make a positive change right then and there.
Yeah.
Me saying yes to a job is heaven to those who normally get told no. And so the impact transition from being locked up to now unlocking the freedom.
That should be your new ministry, your tag. That should be your motto. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That should be all encouragement too.
Because technically, when you come home from prison, you're still locked up. You're still locked up. Because in prison, we have to get up at 5 o'clock, if ands, but better, you got to be out your bed, you got to make your bed, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that, right? And so when we first come home, we're on that routine. We're on that routine. No matter if you did 2 days or 3 days, you're used to it now. And so I had to process transition. Now I process going. Now I got to process coming home and surviving. So now I'm not as locked up as others might be because I know God. I know I'm going home to a husband and kids. I'm going home to a roof over my head. So my circumstances was a little bit different, but I was still locked up. How are my kids going to accept me? How am I going to? My husband, God knows what he kept from me. What my house going to look like when I get home, because I'm so busy. And so what is it going to look like? Oh, I'm just going to go in and I'm clean the house up. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And so when I walked into the house, I broke. I hadn't seen my house in a long time. And everything that I thought would have been out of order was fine. So I had hurt myself overthinking that I wasn't going to be accepted, that I wasn't going to be loved, that my children was going to hate me. They seen me and ran straight to me and gave me the biggest hug of everything, and I broke. Because I now, me versus me, put myself in the wrong mindset not to accept who I was, but whose I was. And so when everything that I beat myself down and I talked down on myself about, everything else was totally different. So I'm like, okay, breathe, Mimi. Mimi, you gotta breathe. You're doing too much. The anxiety of what you've created this picture to be is what's causing you to feel defeated, what's causing you to feel like you failed, what's causing you to feel like you did all of this. But after I healed me, meaning I went into this prayer. For prayer and fasting is what I understand changing my mindset, changed my money. It's not only changed my money, but it changed my relationship with people. It changed me. And so when I started believing in changing me, that's when I adapted the second transition to reentry is to change your mindset. So from being incarcerated, you're missing that you're wrong. Now you got to transition on this map to freedom. You got to transition your mindset so that you don't go back. that you don't make that same mistake no more, that you change the circle of friends, that you don't do what caused you to get there from the start, that you don't put yourself down, that you don't do things that you know it's not loving you, it's not benefiting you. So a lot of times, people are doing stuff just to fit in, and we're fitting into things that's trying to kill, steal, and destroy us. It's a lot of people that should be in jail, but just don't get caught.
You said something really good when it came to changing and transitioning your mind as you're still trying to figure out, how do I embrace life again?
Yep.
Life of real freedom, like completely, totally. I think that's something we need to kind of dissect a little bit there.
Okay.
Because how do you go from, what helped you in that process? Because you've already ended off with you're at home and you're immediately everywhere because you're trying to figure out, okay, well, this is what I was kind of expecting or preparing myself for, and it was something totally different. So how did you get to that mindset, or what got you to that mindset of, okay, let me look at this in a different perspective?
When I realized I was my own enemy.
So
I was my own enemy. I was doing that to myself, but that wasn't of God. Like, I was causing myself so much anxiety and depression and all of that when I just seen God work. So my faith was sometimes. And so I was like, I have my home, I have my children, I got to work on rebuilding in this transition. And so I realized that I had to shut me up. I had to start looking myself in the mirror and speaking life into me, because now I'm depleted. I'm still trying to pour from an empty cup. You can't do that. You can't operate like that. You can't pour from an empty cup because you're going to battle with yourself, trying to pour from an empty cup.
So what did pouring, because this is perfect, because this was going back to my question that I had before we went to the conclusion here. So what's the difference now, or let me say it like this, what were some things or some ways that you poured into yourself while you were incarcerated, and then what does it look like now that you're not incarcerated, you're free? So I want both sides of the picture. When you were in, how did you pour into yourself and keep yourself in a mental state of, okay, well, I can't stay stagnant. I gotta move, I gotta improve, I gotta change my ways. And then when you got out, what's the difference in the way you pour?
So the difference was the atmosphere.
Okay.
The atmosphere. I had people incarcerated wanted to know Jesus, wanted to lean, and I felt like a Naomi Ruth experience because I'm able to guide and show them how you work in the Word, not necessarily work in the street. And so it's transparent because we talk about everything. Like, if you know me, you know I have no filter. We're going to talk about it all, right? And so when I got home, it's just me and my husband and my kids now. So the encouragement of seeing the growth and to come home to realize that I caused abandonment put me back in a bad headspace from being home. So technically I'm still battling, even though I'm, yay, you got this, encouraging, and, you know, I battle. I'm human. You know, some of the women did have substance inside of them that was able to pour back to me. Some of them had it. Like, I wasn't the only preacher's kid or the only minister or the only elder in jail. There was a lot of called women locked up. A lot. So we were pouring into each other. But coming home, you're taught to go to church. I didn't have to go to church. So at home, I still separated myself. I did my 5 o'clock prayer. I did everything. I kept that same routine that I had already did for these 2 years. I had already did a routine. So I kept the same routine, daily affirmations. I'm really big on speaking into myself because when I wake up, I got to, one, thank God that I'm alive because 2024 almost put me out of here. And so not only just thanking God, but thanking me for choosing change. Sometimes you heard me say I have to apologize to me. Now let me thank me for being a better version of myself. That's when you see the healing transition right there. Is when you stop looking at yourself as if you are a felon, and you start looking at yourself that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you are more than a conqueror, that you are chosen by God, that you are the air that you breathe. It's called living life.
And that's a choice.
It's a choice. And everybody don't make that choice, and that's okay. But when I realize that I'm nobody without God, even now, the things that I go through now, I don't go through this stuff because I am the overcomer. No, I go through this stuff because I branded the overcomer. I branded that. And one day I just woke up and God said, "You're the overcomer." I was like, "Oh, I like that." Oh, dang, I didn't know we was going to go through all of this. All to get to the epitome of overcoming. Man. And so my pain don't produce my purpose. It don't. It don't. Because who I was is not who I am today. And so because of what I was then has created who I am today. And so what I want anyone that is in this situation to know is that you don't have to answer to who you were.
That's it.
You got to answer to who you are now. And we are a child of the King. And once my mindset locked in, I realized that re-entry was for me. This was my passion because now I can witness to you from experience.
Yeah.
I can witness to you. Sometimes they will have people coming into the church of our color, not of our color, whatever, that will try to witness to you, and then you hear them say, "I know what you're going through." No, you don't. No, don't ever tell nobody that's going through something you know what they're going through if you ain't been through it. Because now you're tainting your witness. So when I witness to people now, and I get people that say, "I don't know what to do, I can't find a job, I can't do this," and I was like, "Oh, no, I've been there. Let me show you now." And then they get it. Because it takes somebody to go through it to pull somebody out. We don't go through things just because God wanted to just give the strongest test to the strongest battles. We go through it because there's a generation behind us that needs us to be able to pull them out. We have to go through something in order to go back and change this younger generation that's after us. So I can look at them and I can go to the school. A Scared Straight program is what I'm working on now. I can go to the school and I can talk to the kids that think they bad. And I'll be like, "Yo, no, you're not bad. You're not. You want to be." And a lot of things that they are going through is because I, as a parent, was not healed. These kids are not just waking up, "I want to be a bad kid." These kids are going through stuff because their parent is not healed. And when you're not healed, you pour from an empty cup. And you're pouring and you're not realizing that you're causing issues on your own child because we're in survival mode. I've been living in survival mode for so long to where I had to realize I want to be a soft girl. What do soft girls feel like? I'm just embracing that. And I love it here because I don't have to survive, I have to heal. I love it. I love it.
And I love that answer because that goes into my conclusion questions where I wanted to ask you to give them some advice for those who could be watching who have already dealt with it, are coming out on the other side of it, about to go into it, you know. What are some we'll give them two separate ones. So the first one is, what are some tips or advice that you can give to those who have been going through this, or about to go through it, or just now coming on the other side?
So the best advice that I can give anyone is to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgiveness is not for others, it's for you.
Yep.
And so once you get into a heart of forgiveness, your accountability matches your forgiveness. And now you understand that, yes, you've made a mistake. Yes, you did something that's going to cause some type of pain on someone else. But guess what? Cast your cares on God. You're in a realm of openness when you work on you first.
Come on.
Work on you first. Shut down the noise. Silence the noise. And work on you. So that when you come back and you do whatever time, because you do the crime, you got to do the time. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. But when you come back, you're coming back whole.
Different. Change.
No matters. And block out the people who want to bring up your past. Block them out. If anybody said, oh, that's so good they used to do, because that's the key word, youth, because you're not even a part of this season. If you can only talk about the used to.
They can only identify that.
You're not here. And so that's how you move, by changing your identity through your transition.
That's a powerful tip there. That is a powerful tip. That, I want to tag in on that just a little bit. Okay. All I'm going to say and tag on to this part is exactly what she just said, is making sure that you are transitioning your mind, making sure your heart and your mind are always aligned, because when you're going through different stages in life and you're coming out on the other end of something or about to go into something that you already know, okay, this is going to be chaotic, I already know I'm not going to be comfortable here, I already know I'm not going to like it, making sure that your mindset, that you're actually keeping your mind at a place where it's evolving, always changing, always growing, and always being aware of yourself. Because that's technically what you just said, is being accountable. Like your accountability would follow.
Yes.
What would be words of encouragement?
Words of encouragement that I would say to anyone is to love yourself unconditionally. Even though we fail, we don't stay there. We have to get back up. We have to love ourselves. You have to be okay with understanding that there's a blessing in each lesson that you go through. You have to be okay with asking for prayer of change. You have to be okay with asking your children to forgive you, asking yourself, your spouse, whomever, that, because your immediate family suffers the most. So you have to be okay with admitting that you made a mistake and don't hold it against them. And so if you're asking others not to hold something against you, you don't hold yourself back from being your greatest potential because you made that mistake. A lot of times I would defeat myself by not applying for jobs because I go in and say no background. And to be honest, God walked me through this process, because when I came home, I ended up going to work for the government. God blocked it, my background didn't come up. It would be smaller jobs that don't pay like that job pay, and still in HR, still, recruiting, hiring, call center type environment, had no problem getting a job. But it would be like jobs like when I'm looking for a part-time McDonald's department wouldn't hire me, and I'm like, okay. And so the no's are okay. Learn to accept no. I'm spoiled. I'm very spoiled. I didn't like the word no, but no is okay. No is fuel to my fire. When you tell me no, I'm going to show you that I'm going to get a yes. Because I'm going to keep going. It's my drive. Because I know people still look at your past. Even though mine is over 10 years, it still comes up now to this day, because everybody don't get a non-disclosure and an expungement in the system, in the criminal justice system. Everybody is not granted that. However, faith over fear. I want faith over fear. There's a lot of jobs that I had that I shouldn't have if it was up to people, but because it was up to God, and God walked me through that door, and He allowed me to do the things that I do, I have no issue getting the job to this day, because my faith is stronger than that fear, and that's what I need each and every one of the people to know, is that your faith has to be stronger than the fear. And I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you, male, female, children, or whatever. I talk to them all, and I have so many resources. So I'm working on a different resource guide, because when they let you go from prison, they give you this stale paper because it's old. It's never been updated. They give you false hope when you leave the prison system and say, well, these companies will hire felons. But they don't tell you that, no, all of those companies won't hire felons. These are just companies that y'all never updated from years and years ago. And so I do have a resource of companies that will hire felons. I do have schools that would take trades, and there's a lot of people in some of my male testimonies that I've showed them light. Go to trade school, because they don't care about your background. And now they're working as AC techs and all of that, and that's how it is. So us sticking together is going to heal everything. But I need people who are motivated to change, and not just, I need a job. Because you don't keep the job, because you think it's betterment. But you got to crawl before you walk. So that's the best advice that I can give.
And that's perfect, too, because it's real, it's authentic, and I hope that encourages, if not all, at least one person, because everything she just said, that doesn't just go for those who have experienced incarceration, but life in general, and making sure that your heart is open in the right place. Your character will speak volumes for you. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, what your background story is all about, making sure that you're on a path now where you present yourself in a way that is respectful, respectable, trustworthy, and that someone can say, hey, you know, it seems like you've been through a lot, but it seems like you've been through a lot of change, a lot of transition. Looks like you're better now than what your past may have, you know, and so I absolutely enjoyed our conversation today. I have literally, 4 that I wanted to ask and get in, but I'm going to have to do a part 2 with you, because I know we already hitting on that 1 hour there, and there are so many more questions that I had and I wanted to ask, because I know that's something that can help others with, especially when it comes to the mindset and everything. But outside of just parenting and ministry, give them one more last piece of advice of ways that they can pour into themselves for those who may not have support systems outside of incarceration, those who may have, because you said you went home to a husband, house, kids.
Yeah.
You already had your degree and all that stuff. So what about for those who don't have nobody to come home to when they get out? You know, what would you tell them?
Find a church home, because friends become family. And so your church, I know the church I go to, right? We do have a prison ministry who do have some type of aftercare, who have some type of knowledge of how to get you to overcome what you went through. So if you don't have the support system that you want, you got to go get it. And you got to be able to be fed. You got to be able to surrender to God, because that's the process that it's going to have to take. It's just transitioning over. You got to understand that God needs you to be closer to Him, so that He can show you that He forgives you. Not only that you're forgiving yourself, God is forgiving you. That's the only forgiveness that matters. It's so coming to a church home that loves without limits, that understand that we're not perfect, that is radical, who is going to worship and who's going to provide resources for you, and to be able to help you through the transition. I know a lot of transitional homes I have resources on those as well. So I know there are some transitional homes that will take you to help you transition to where you want to be. I do know some independent properties as well, so you'll end up getting your own apartment, but you have to go through the steps through their programs. You have to be willing to go through those things. So if you don't have that support system, never forget that you have God. And once you go to God, ask Him to lead you on the path of freedom to where you need to be. It don't have to be my church, because it's a lot of churches that are doing it, but they have to get planted in a ministry that restores.
Well, I ain't got nothing to say to that, because she didn't say it all, and it was beautifully said, wonderfully said, done, and that is very true. You know, and that's with anything in life, making sure that you have a church home and a relationship with God, and that itself will be everything that you need. So, Miss Mimi, I absolutely enjoyed our conversation today. You were a freaking powerhouse, and just talking and sharing parts of your story today, I really want to thank you for coming out and being willing to share and being so open and honest about your story, because I always say, you never know what your life experience can be a roadmap for someone else's, and so, or a guide for someone else on how to get out on the other side. And so, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. And please let the people know how they can connect with you, your business, where they can find you.
So, thank you for having me, first off. To be an ideal woman, releasing ideal inspiration is amazing. I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you. Keep going.
Thank you.
Keep going.
Thank you.
So you can get in touch with me via Instagram. Instagram is Events by me. It's EVENTZ BYMEME. Or I'm on Facebook, and soon I will be relaunching the Overcomers page, where you'll see different things coming from the reentry side of my life, and how we are partnering with other programs and other services to be able to help you make a change in your life. So stay tuned.
I'll be looking up for that too. I'll be looking up like, where's that? So y'all can see below the screen here of where you can find her on social media. I'll also put it on the description box down below. And to all of my beautiful people, my family that are watching and have watched this far into the video, thank you. Thank you for watching and for allowing Miss Mimi to inspire you today with parts of her story of what she's experienced in life. If this impacted you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, where you are looking at life in a different perspective, you got some nuggets, or just parts of this conversation really, really helped you in any way of your life right now, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like, leave a comment in the comment section so we can know how we can improve and to better cater to what you're needing, and so we can know how you felt about this video. You can also follow me on social media, on Instagram at Ideal Woman Show. My Facebook page is Ideal Woman, and then you can also follow me on TikTok at Coach Bree. Without further ado, I will see y'all on the next episode. Until next time, bye. If you have a story that you want to share, and you know it's going to impact. Season 2 is about parenting health right now. And so, please, if you have a story and you're willing to share, go ahead and hit me up. Reach out to me on my social media, and we'll get in communication about that.